Kubernetes and CKAD tips number 16. We discussed about multi-container pods holding more than one container. In this, we'll talk briefly about init container, which is sort of like a multi-container, but a specialized multi-container. So what this init container really means here? So init container is not just about multi-container activity, right? It is different from regular container. A pod can have definitely more than container, but init container always run to completion. So if you have an init container and if you have some task that needs to finish first, and each init container must complete successfully before the next one starts. So you can have actually more than one init containers. If a pod's init container fails, the kubelet actually repeatedly restarts that init container until it succeeds. However, if the pod has a restart policy of never and an init container fails during the startup of that pod, Kubernetes treats the overall pod as failed. And we'll see that experience, right? So we'll see that how we can define that in the declarative way in a YAML, and then how we can add init container inside a pod, and how we can add more than one init container. So let's put things together and then show you a little nice demo about it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to my shell, and then let me clear this up. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and create a new container. So what I'm basically trying to do is that I'm trying to create a container called busy3. Okay. And then I'm not actually creating that. I'm creating the YAML of it. So that's what I'm trying to do. So let me show you how that looks like. Okay. So this is what it is. And then if I create that, the init file gets created. So if I pi and then say init YAML, you see that the YAML is fairly simple because it has got only one pod, and then I named it as busy. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add init container. Now you can add init containers. So you can have more than one init container. And I will follow this pattern. So first image. So I'll say image is busy box. You can have any image, right, which is available in your image repository. And then I say name, and then say busy init. Now, init container naming convention follows certain patterns. So you cannot have, let's say, capital letter, all should be small and all this stuff. So you might get an error if you have mixed character. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to do something, right? So what I'm saying is that I'm going to run a command. So that command is nothing but a shell script. And let's call this sh, and then say -c, that's my command, and then I say sleep for 20 seconds. So what this init container is going to do is going to sleep for 20 seconds, wait for 20 seconds, and then start the actual container. And we'll see how Kubernetes treats that experience. So let me save it out, and then let me run this command. And then if everything is fine, it will start accepting. So I'll say get pod -w, and it'll show all the pods. And you can see the busy3 has got an init container, and that's why the status is showing init 0 of 1. So if you have more than one init, it will show you that number, but it will run for 20 seconds, and then actual pod creation will kickstart. Because I opened it in watch mode, you will see the status changing. So you can see now the pod initializing started, pod started creating, it is running, and it is completed because my busy box doesn't do much. So it basically uh, stopped the container. But you got the whole point that it will wait till my init container activity is over. Then the actual pod creation or the actual container creation kickstarts, right? That's the kind of experience you have over here. Now, what I'm going to do that is that I'm going to do a little bit of mistake over here and then try to see if that reflects really into my activity. I'll say delete, and then I delete the container, And what I'm going to do, I'm going to modify this init container, and I try to do something which is not possible. Okay, so hopefully this will create some error in the system. Now what I gonna do is that I'm gonna say that create, and then you can see that there is an error, start error. Because I have said restarts never in my container creation, right? In the YAML both as well as in the command from where I generated the command, you will notice that after some time the container will fail. It will not retry, right? So that's a kind of behavior. If you, let's say, want to change that behavior, let's just come out of that and let's delete the container, and I go to this init container and I say restart policy never and delete this, and I run the creation process again and watch it. You can see that it keeps trying, right? Run container error, unlike the previous error where it kind of stopped trying, but it will start keep trying, but it will never happen. Now imagine that you are trying to really check some external thing, and through the init container, and if the external component is down for some time, and then as soon as it is up and running, the init container could actually get the response back, and then start the external content really works well in this use case. So with this, I could give you some idea about how the init container looks like and how you can generate the YAML file to produce the init container, and then add the init container, and you can literally add more than one init container. So you can see that it's a list, so init containers, right, as the name suggests, and then you can have more than one init container doing more than one task, right, before the actual container, which is my busy3, will work. So with this, thank you very much and have a wonderful day.